Yorana from Tahiti, and welcome to Filled with His Love. Think of this for a moment. There is no air until you breathe it, no flavor until you taste it, no light until you see it, and no truth until you live it. What is the value of oxygen unless someone breathes it in? What is the purpose of fruit unless you eat it? What is the point of light unless you open your eyes and see it? And most importantly, what is the importance of truth unless we live it? The prophet Joseph Smith once said, "Truth is delicious. Truth is sweet. Truth can stand eternal scrutiny. It is good. It is beautiful. It is everlasting." We can taste its sweetness only if we partake of it, only if we live the divine principle. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He did not say, "I will explain truth to you," or "I will preach about truth." No, he said, "I am the truth." Truth is a living thing. It does not exist on its own. Christ himself is the truth, the embodiment of truth, and when we taste truth, when we begin to live the principles Jesus taught, we then embody the truth ourselves. Our hope in mortality is that we can live truth as the Savior lived it when he was on earth. Perhaps the crowning truth of all gospel principles is the pure love of Christ. The tree of life in Lehi's dream bore fruit, and that fruit was the love of God. I don't believe it's a coincidence that the symbol for love in his dream was fruit. Fruit is something you need to eat if you want to be nourished by it. So he partook, and Sariah partook. They were filled with the love of God. Nephi and Sam partook, and they were filled. But Laman and Lemuel, of course, they saw the tree and heard their father beckon to them to come and partake, but they chose not to do it. In John 1:1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." In another verse we read, "The Word," with a capital W, "the Word became flesh." Now we understand that when God said, "In the beginning was the Word," it was referring to the Savior who would come on earth in the flesh to save us. Again, think about the significance of this statement. Words are not words unless they're spoken. The Word is synonymous with truth. The verse could have said, "In the beginning was truth," with a capital T, and the truth was with God, and truth was God. When it could have said, "The truth became flesh." Why am I so fascinated by the concept of truth as a living thing? Because for centuries, truth has often meant a proposition to be tested, a hypothesis to be examined. In other words, truth has been seen as a set of facts or ideas that exist all on their own, outside of us as human beings. I'm sure there are some listening right now who find it easier to see truth in this way, as a set of facts that can be proven. We see movies that dramatize court hearings where the prosecution makes a claim and then the defense tries to refute that claim. Everyone is trying to find the truth. But my point is that truth cannot be found outside of human experience. Truth is alive in us. I just had to take a brief pause in the podcast because a helicopter was flying over our house to take someone to the hospital right next to us, and so it got pretty loud. So that's where we live in Tahiti. Okay, so C.S. Lewis once said, "Christianity is not a system of ideas, but a way, a road, a life." In other words, Christianity is not simply learning about the truths Jesus taught. It's about living them, taking the truths inside us, experimenting upon the Word, as Alma taught. When we were serving as mission leaders, Elder Ballard encouraged us to help our missionaries learn how to teach for understanding. That's what he called it. You need to teach for understanding. I would ask missionaries in zone conferences, "So what does it mean to teach with understanding?" I got lots of responses, but usually the responses were like, "Well, you need to ask them to repeat back to you what you've taught them. You need to ask questions to see if they understood the principle." Nice try. I mean, that's not a bad thing to do. I'm not saying that, but I used to say nice try, but I don't think that's what it means to teach for understanding. As missionaries and as parents, we are not trying to teach a system of ideas as C.S. Lewis said. We are trying to teach others to come unto Christ. We are trying to help them learn how to live the principle we're teaching, to take truth inside them. And there's only one way to do that. That means you have to live the principle. Fully 68% of smokers wish they could quit. Do they know that smoking is bad for them? Would they be able to answer a question if I asked them, is smoking good for you? Sure. If we explained the word of wisdom to them, would they be shocked to find out that God has taught that smoking is bad? No, I don't think so. They already know that it's bad. And even most of those who say they don't want to stop smoking know that it's not a healthy practice. What good is that knowledge unless they live it? It is of no value at all, in my opinion. They don't really understand the power of the word of wisdom, this seminal truth, until they live the principle and find out for themselves. Then the truth of the word of wisdom lives inside them. It becomes an embodied truth. That's real understanding. When the scriptures say that we need to write the precious truths of the gospel on the fleshy tables of our heart, the meaning is clear. We need to treasure the truth, cherish the principle we're learning so that we never want to let it go. It becomes part of us. The sacrament helps us see this more clearly. We don't partake of the bread and water simply so that we can remember the scene of the Last Supper. With each morsel of bread and each sip of water, we take Christ inside us. We commit to follow him. We covenant to take his name upon us. We promise to live what he taught. Most could explain the law of tithing, give 10% of your increase to the Lord. That's simple to explain. The idea is so simple, a young child can understand it, a penny from every dime and a dime from every dollar. But the meaning of tithing does not come by repeating the sentence, give 10% of your increase to the Lord. The meaning of the law of tithing comes by paying it. I can still see a stake president. I think I probably mentioned this once before, but it left such a deep impression I've got to mention it again. I once had a stake president who called two brothers to the podium and asked, "What would it mean to you if I told you that you could no longer pay tithing?" Both of them paused. Then the first began to speak as tears coursed down his cheeks. "I think you would have stolen something very precious away from me. I love giving what I can to build the kingdom." He understood tithing. He embodied the truth. The truth was written on the fleshy tables of his heart. We are likely familiar with the verse in the D&C, "Therefore, in the ordinances thereof, the power of godliness is manifest, and without the ordinances thereof, the power of godliness is not manifest unto men in the flesh." You'll notice that it does not say the power of God is manifest. And this may be a small thing to some, it's a big thing to me. It says the power of godliness is manifest. Godliness means to become like God, to live the truths he taught, to follow his example. Every ordinance is meant to help us internalize the truths of the gospel, to taste how delicious the truths are, to accept them, embrace them, and live them. The ordinances are full of blessings pronounced upon our head to give us help and to help us internalize them. Not just repeat them back to someone. Every covenant is a commitment to live the gospel, to accept the invitation that Lehi gave to his family to come and partake of the fruit, the love of God. So let's return to what I said at the beginning of this episode. There's really no air until you breathe it, no flavor until you taste it, no light until you see it, and no truth until you live it. My desire, and I hope it's yours as well, is to look at my own life and imagine how I might embody more of the truths that Christ taught. How might I treasure and cherish a little bit more the truths I profess to believe? How might I really live these truths? I hope this is helpful, and we look forward to seeing you next time.